Um, well, for the ladies, this is a little bit more, um, I'm not going to say complicated, but it's hard because, as I said to the gentleman, you have to be restless. So, not all the time you have to be moving. And I know most of you are restless. Most of you know already what the movement is like, and you want to move. My theory is that women rule the world, and of course you already know what is happening, but I want you to make believe the leader that he is leading the movement. Okay, so try to remain as not only in this movement, every time that you're dancing tango, I want you to be very, very cool. Like they say, arrive a little bit late, fashionably late. The moment that you arrive late, your body is going to be moving in a more disassociate, with more disassociation. And that is exactly what we need in this movement. So I'm going to start by, remember the exercise that we did? We started with our weight in between our feet. In order to understand the movements that you have to do during this set of steps, I want you to follow me without thinking of what the leader is doing, just what the follower is doing. So we're going to take 2 back ochos. Side step, first back ocho, and the second back ocho. Look, when I am going back, when I'm showing you how to do the back ochos, I'm facing the camera. Okay, and my hips are not. My hips are 90 degrees turned. So this is where the exercise starts. The leader is going to make sure that your weight is in between your legs. Look how elongated both my legs are. I am not here. This is not a very safe position for you because you're going to lose your balance eventually. I want you to make sure that your weight is in between your feet. And all of a sudden, the leader is going to walk. I have the leader in front of me. So I'm going to follow him. See how I am able to follow him just moving without moving my hips or because my hips are already facing that direction. So he walks, and only when he is like going to the other side, I am going to be forced to do the pivot. And then you're going to feel at the very end how he's going to keep going. Look how my left leg in this case, is being elongated. That part is what is going to give you the correct posture. As I always ask you to elongate, feeling the line from your core to your toe, you're elongating from your ribs to your toe. This is how it has to look. And then your hip needs to be slightly open so you're able to do this movement all the time that the leader is walking. Right now, it's very difficult to do it by myself, but I want you to have that feeling when you're doing it by yourself, but elongate. Let's do it one more time. So we're going to go to back ocho, back ocho. From here, it's like you're passing something. Pam, 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 pam. 1, 2, 3. And then after that 3, we're going to keep going wherever we want to go, okay? Key things for this movement is that you keep that line as I was explaining a little bit earlier, but also disconnect your heels from the ground. I'm going to use the chair to show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. When you're doing, say I'm moving, nothing happens. But the moment that I cannot move any longer, I finally have to activate my feet. So if my feet remain, we're going to explain that a little bit later, but I want you to feel when you cannot move any longer, you're going to lift your heels and allow that movement. See how if I allow that, at the end, I am perfectly in this position. Okay? Now, if the leader keeps moving, if the calecita is going to last a little bit longer, allow that to happen. And make sure that the way that your legs are going to work is always, see, I'm touching my belly button in order to make sure that my axis is completely aligned with this perfect line that I am making with 3 spots. My big toe, my belly button, and the middle section of my eyes. If I am aligned here, then the other leg is going to look good. So if I keep doing that, rotating the axis, I'm going to be here. And the line is still a very nice line. In order to keep this posture, I am disconnecting my heel, my standing leg heel off the ground, and bending my knee a little bit and using my quadriceps to keep connected. And elongating as much as I can my other leg. Okay? Now, let me show you what is happening with that wrap exercise that we did, which will end up being the gancho. The leader is going to, I'm going to do it. That is the line of dance. I'm going to do 2 back ochos, 1 back ocho, 2 back ochos. The leader places me in between my feet, and then he walks. I'm following him with my chin and shoulders. At some point, I cannot follow him any longer without moving my feet. So I'm going to lift my heels and keep going. And then when I can't go any longer, I walk like leaving a tail. But then the leader is going to make me go forward completely. When that happens, I don't want you to think about doing any gancho. I just want you to swing that leg completely, almost hitting the leg of the leader. And all of a sudden, you're going to feel that the leader switches his weight to his right leg only. Right now, his weight is on the left. And then he's going to switch to his right. When that happens, is when you do the gancho. So if I would have to explain the timing of the gancho happens when you're saying goodbye, not when you arrive in. What do I mean with that? If you do the gancho a little bit too early, this is how it's going to look. See how like I am moving my leg. My foot is not pivoting. And I am just doing it because I think that that's what I have to do. The gancho is a very passive movement. It's not that, and by that I mean that you're not using your own energy. You're using the energy that the leader is creating for you. You're capturing that energy and making only this, see? You're pivoting both feet, wrap, and go. But like I said earlier, we're going to keep doing this exercise a little bit longer. And for that, I want you to do an exercise with the chair. I'm going to show you first what I am trying to do. We're going to be doing basically forward ocho, and then we're going to return. I do a forward ocho completely. Okay, and before I want to go forward, I'm going to interrupt that ocho. Forward ocho. I'm doing the next part, but I interrupt it. And then I'm going to change the direction of my rotation. I was going towards my right, now I'm going to go towards my left. And I'm wrapping that leg, my dancing leg, with my axis leg. And the way I'm wrapping is by pivoting, lifting the heel of my standing foot, and then allowing that axis to move. And only at the end, when both feet are pivoted, I'm going. I know that doesn't look very flattering when I do it in slow motion. When we do it in bam, 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 it looks a lot better, right? But I want you to understand what you are doing. For that same reason, chair, and I want you to do this with me. So we make a forward step. You can use a chair, you can use a bar, whatever you want. I switch my weight completely to my right, and then I'm going to pivot. And I'm going to stop on the side of the chair, and then I'm going to turn back on the other direction. Boom. And I try it again. The idea here with this exercise is that I want your leg to feel completely loose. See how like my leg, with the energy that I am doing by pivoting quickly my body, that same energy is sending my leg behind me. Nice and easy. Okay? I'm not going to say that when you're doing the wrap, there's no energy. Actually, adding a little bit of energy helps you to remain strong in your axis. But for now, I want you to enjoy that feeling of not thinking where you have to put that leg. Let it fly. Let the movement happen by itself. Slowly, when you understand how it feels like to let that leg go, you're going to incorporate other, little by little, you're going to incorporate where to control that movement and where to add a little bit more energy, as I am doing. I'm not letting my leg go when I'm coming back. I'm not letting go completely loose. Loose, loose, loose. In order to do that part, I am adding a little bit of an energy there, and then with the energy that the leader gave me, I'm sending that leg behind me. Okay, so once again, while the leaders are learning to do the gancho, I want you to try to do that practice of letting your leg loose. If you want to do it with the other leg, all you have to do is change the direction. I go here. Of course, when you use your right leg, the exercise is going to be a lot easier. I arrive to the side of the chair in a 90-degree angle. I turn. If we understand the whole exercise that you're doing here, it would be a little bit like this. Back ocho, second back ocho, you're frozen, and the leader walks around you. And the leader is going to walk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then he's going to stop, but he's going to continue pivoting you. In that pivot, you want to leave your leg all the way behind until you hit his leg. And then he's going to switch his weight. In other words, he's going to instead of leading you in the same direction, he's going to change the direction. And that's when you do that wrap. After that, he's going to lead you back ocho, another back ocho, sandwich, six, seven, and eight. I'm always asking you to, because I want to put that seed in your brain. Every time that you can steal some little embellishment, try to do it. That is going to make your body, your toes, your feet, your ankles, your knees, your legs, your whole body is going to be a little bit more flexible, more welcoming of ideas and creativity. You, as a dancer, as a follower in tango, you are not supposed to be passive. Certain things are, but you are using the energy of the leader and your own energy to say something at some point. Don't ever forget that. So let me show you one more time how the exercise is going. We're doing side step, one back ocho, second back ocho. The leader is moving around in 12 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But then after this 12th step, he is going to move you still. See how I'm moving in my own axis, because he wants to bring this leg forward. But then he changes his mind and he's going to send this leg backwards again. And that's when you want to release that wrap or gancho. At the end, if you let your leg loose, remember that when we were doing the exercise, I was asking you to let your leg loose. I do gancho, and see how if I leave my leg fly over, it is going to arrive very nicely under the spot, in the spot under my elbow. That leg, although it is moving by itself, it's not going to go through the air. What do I mean by that? I don't want you to understand that it has to be like this. As you can tell, that's a little bit dangerous. If somebody is around me and I lift my leg, I might kick somebody. Don't forget, your high heels are like weapons. You can damage somebody seriously if you let your leg go like that. In some places in Buenos Aires, they recommend people not to use these movements because they can be a lot aggressive. So you can still do a lot of things, but if you control your movements. Look what happens if you control perfectly your movement. Gancho, I go around the floor. I lift my leg here because it's safe, it's close to my body, but then I let it fly, caressing the ground. Don't ever forget, ladies, you have a very intimate relationship. We all have an intimate relationship with the floor. We never leave the floor. It looks like we're leaving the floor, but we're always caressing somehow the floor. Okay? So this is for now. Don't forget, we're going to keep, I repeat, we're going to keep doing this exercise, and we're going to find a lot more interesting things to learn about it. Okay? Now let's focus on what our feet have to be doing. Hi, I am Rene, and welcome back to the series of tango lessons we're doing. If you are here for the first time, make sure that you see the previous videos and you'll be able to understand a little bit better what we're doing. These tango series are basic movements. They are not intended to create something new or help you to do fancy movements. They are basically trying to reinforce what you probably already know about tango if you already dance. And if you're a beginner, it's telling you how to use and be aware of your body. Today, we're going to keep going a little bit to what we were doing last week, but we're going to do a very interesting movement. And before I start, I need to tell you about, I need to remind you a little bit of your axis and the dancing leg. Those lines, the line of your axis and the line of your dancing leg, are very, very important. Usually your axis is the line that is supporting your weight. That line can go up or down. But see how the other leg is not bending. If you break that line of your dancing leg, you're not going to be looking like a dancer any longer. So it is very important for us to try to keep and understand a little bit what I'm doing when I am moving on my own axis and how the dancing leg needs to move. That a reminder about your axis as an individual dancer. However, when we're dancing together, sometimes we want to share that axis. Today we're going to try to understand a little bit how the gancho happens. The gancho, or rap as it's translated in English, it's a very cool movement that requires a little bit of understanding where is our axis. So for now, I want you to remember, like when the couple is dancing, if I want to make a gancho happen, I have to be as close as my dance partner is, as close as the axis of my dance partner is. That is an exercise that in the case of tango, most of the time is in the hands, in the lead of the leaders, the gentlemen. So for that same reason, we're going to do first some exercises in order to understand how to place our bodies in preparation, during this process of doing a gancho. The first thing that we're going to understand is we're going to go to the gancho, starting with a calicita. What is a calicita? If I translate calicita plainly to English, it is merry-go-round or carousel. So why is it called carousel? Because I'm going to be holding the axis of my dance partner and I'm going to be rotating around her. Okay, but how I'm going to rotate? I'm going to be going backwards. We are not going to be walking forward. It's a lot easier if you learn how to do this walking backwards. So the first exercise that we're going to do, and again, this is for everybody, not just for the followers or just the leaders. I want you to try to remain in, we're going to do this exercise. Imagine I'm placing my left foot in front of my right foot, okay? Later on, we're going to take care of the feet, so don't pay attention to what my feet are doing. Imagine how the disassociation is happening. I'm going to move my chin, my chest first. Then it's going to, that movement is going to move my core, the central part of my body, and only after that, my feet are going to follow suit. So it's like somebody's moving me, my heels, the moment that I feel that there is movement, my heels are going to disconnect from the ground. My weight is in between my feet. You can practice that a little bit, making sure that your hip is soft, that you're feeling the joint of your hips. Then I lift my heels and I'm going to move my upper body and then my hips and only then my feet. And at the end, I'm going to finish bringing that leg forward, okay? We can try to do the same exercise, but going on the opposite direction. I'm going to move my nose and my chin first, together with my shoulders. Okay, so everything is happening for now very slowly. I want you to understand that shoulders move, then hips move, and then foot moves. I cannot move in a block. We never can dance like that, okay? So that is the first exercise that I want you to try to do, okay? I'm going to do it one more time. This is just, we're working by ourselves. We don't need a dance partner to do this exercise. I'm going to lift my heels and then I'm going to move. I can do it the other way. When you practice this exercise, and because we're going in a circular way, I want you to feel the muscles on the sides of your body, on the sides of your torso. The obliques are going to be working a lot harder than the rest. I mean, there's a group of muscles that you're using, but the obliques are the ones that are really working hard. Another exercise that I would like you to do is, let's say we finish and we're left in this position. See, my foot, let's imagine I am a follower and the leader is going to walk around. The leader walks around and he keeps walking. I'm going to try to remain with my, in this case, my left foot or whichever foot I have behind, under my elbow. In this case, my left foot is under my right elbow, the spot on the floor under my right elbow, right? If I would be doing the opposite, it would be the opposite. So you're kind of like a statue here. The leader moves and you're moving in this position. Try not, that's the rule of the calicita, try not to bring your foot forward. I know that it feels like staying here and letting the leader move you is a little bit tough. However, that's how I would like you to practice. So see how important is to feel the elongation of the muscles in your middle section, okay? Now, for the leaders, we're going to start this movement by leading 2 back ochos. I'm going to use the sticks here. I'm sorry I didn't have those ready yet. As usual, the right stick is the right leg and the left, the blue one is the left. So I'm going to have that line of dance and I'm going to lead side step. I'm going to collect my feet. I'm going to pivot. I lead the first back ocho. I lift. I pivot. I lead the second back ocho. And here I'm going to just freeze. See how my weight is in between my feet and her weight should be also in between her feet. So what I'm going to do this, and the way that I would like you to do this is we're going to Actually, I'm going to change. We're not going to go back. We're going to go forward. So to make it a little bit easier for you. And I'm going to go, I'm not going to lead. I'm going to let her sit. Her shoulders are in front of me, and I'm going to walk around her. At this point, I have changed completely the course of her back ocho. Now, her right leg forward and her left is behind. So I'm going to keep walking for a couple. We're going to count afterwards, so don't worry after that. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that left foot backwards again, forward again, and then I'm going to finish 6, 7, and 8. Very simple, right? So now we're going to count the steps that you have to do. First, we're going to place her into a back ocho. Side, I lift while I collect. I lead her the pivot. I walk with her one first forward ocho. I lift that foot. I pivot. I invite her to do a second back ocho, as in a way, as if I would be leading into a sandwich, but I am not doing the sandwich. I just let her go here. Very important for you ladies, your knees are going to be like the sticks. You cannot bend your knees. Remember that I was talking about how your dancing leg and your axis need to work? In this case, the axis is in between your feet and both legs are dancing. So if you break any of those, you would be doing like this. And that is not a very flattering posture, okay? Your legs should be completely extended. At this point, gentlemen, I want you to make sure that you are holding tight. You're grounding your dance partner without hurting her, but just like being very firm, inviting. Your body's telling her, please, wait for me here, don't move. And I'm in this position, right? See? I'm going to turn to my right, to my left, and with my right foot, I'm going to start walking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And only then I'm going to bring that foot forward, and 6, 7, and 8. This is kind of like the first exercise that I want you to. This is the calicita, okay? But the calicita is very simple. She's not doing absolutely anything. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, I'm going to step the 8 and I'm going to bend my right knee in order to collect that left leg and invite her to come forward, and then collect my feet and finish 6, 7, and 8. Okay? Wow. Now we're going to do the calicita a little bit longer, not just her standing frozen as a statue. She's still, her body is going to be frozen like a statue, but I'm going to keep going. I want you to try to count your steps. Don't make your steps too long, don't make your steps too little. I want you to try to do, let's see how many steps. Side, back ocho, the second back ocho, I place my weight in between my feet, and then I let her stay there where she is, and I'm going to go walking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the 8, I'm going to invite her to bring all her weight on her right foot, and she is going, then her weight is going to change. Her weight is going to go to that right leg, and look, that has become her axis, and this is her line of dancing. Okay, so that leg, ladies, has to remain completely elongated, and your axis, your knee is going to be soft in order to allow this leg to keep going very nice and elongated. And your hip, look at the shoe, at the left shoe, your foot cannot go like that. Your shoe is going to go on the side, your hip partially open, and you're going to, gentlemen, remember, we just did number 8. We're going to lower our centers just a little bit, and then we're going to keep walking. 9, 10, 11, 12, and then I'm going to bring her leg again, as I did before. 6, 7, and 8. Now let's do it again without those pauses. I go side, 2 back ochos, 1, 2. I make sure that she is understanding that she has to stay there. Look how I'm moving my weight from barely from one side to the other. So she is doing exactly the same. And I leave her there, and I'm going to walk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then I bring that foot forward. She walks with that foot, and I finish 6, 7, and 8. Okay? The idea is that at some point we're going to see that I'm going to make a gancho before I finish the step. How is that going to happen? I lead the back ocho, the second back ocho, and say, I want you to focus in the leg that she is going to end up leaving behind. Right now, her right foot is behind. The face of the follower is in front of me. Her right foot, basically what she's doing is this. If I would be the follower, I would be doing this. So her right leg is behind, but I'm going to change that by walking around her. See, I finish here. This is 8. And see how her left leg is being left there. So I'm going to try to bring that left. Now I'm dancing with that leg. At the end, I'm going to step here. Look what I'm going to do. I switch my weight to my left, and then I'm going to switch my weight to my right. When I do that, remember that I said that our axis in some movements, I want my axis to be almost matching with the axis of my dance partner. That's exactly what I meant in this movement. This is when her leg is going to get wrapped around your leg. And after that, you're going to invite her to a back ocho. You can do half molinete to finish. If you don't want to do the half molinete, all you have to do is gancho, lead a lower boleo, invite her to come forward, 6, 7, 8. So it is going to be very, very simple. All I want you to do, we're going to repeat these exercises for a while, but for now, I want you to remember the basic part, which is going around her and remembering that you're changing her axis At the last time, when you made the 8th step, you're switching her axis to her right foot, and her left is completely elongated, and you're walking, taking care of that. At the very end, you bring that here, you match your axis with hers. We're going to finish this way in order to make it a little bit easier with something that you already know. She's going back. We're going to let her step, and we're going to lead a sandwich that we all know already how to do. If you don't know how to do a sandwich, please review 3 lessons back where we were doing that. Okay, so basically at the first in the first part of the exercise, we are leading a calicita, and at the very end we are doing a gancho, and we're finishing with a very nice sandwich. One last thing, gentlemen, once again, this is focusing in the first part only. We're going to keep doing this in the coming weeks, but I want you to remember how to walk together with the music. Right now the music is telling me, so there is no rush. I know that it feels like you have to hurry because it's uncomfortable for the lady to be frozen, but I want you to go with the music. See, I'm going to go with the music. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so although I was not counting, I want you to remember that that is the rhythm of tango. That is the beat that we have to follow. That is the metrics. That space in between the one beat and the other is giving us the speed that we're required to go. I can go slower than that, but that would be a little bit too, it's not going to match with the ladies. Don't forget, the ladies are waiting for something to happen. If you let them stay there for too long, they're going to get a little bit, restless. So try to give this movement a lot of fluidity. Once again, the first part that I want you to really capture today is the way that you have to walk. Okay? Now, in the walking part, don't forget that although you have to focus around the lady, you don't want to walk with your face like that. You have to be looking at not looking at her in the eye, by facing her. Look how my hips are disconnected from my shoulders. So I'm walking. Only when I am done with the exercise, I'm going to face her. Okay? That is going to be just for now. Eventually, we're going to try to understand a little bit better the gancho and how it involves. But for now, that little part is essential. Now, let's see what the ladies have to do in this exercise. The footwork in this case is going to be basically the exercises that I would like you to do. We're going to start by the exercises that I would like the gentlemen, the leaders, to do. And in this case, see, I'm using my left leg as my dancing leg. It's completely straight. In order to make sure that I am doing it correctly, I want you to touch your belly button and make sure that you are completing this a connection of your toe, your belly button, and the middle section of your eyes. Then, as if you would be sitting in a different stool, imagine that there's a stool behind me. I'm sitting here, and then I'm going to switch to the other. See how my hips are moving in the same direction that my whole body is moving. Okay, so I don't want you to just move your feet. I want you to move your hips. The whole direction of the of your body, of your axis, is moving. See, the way that I'm facing my axis changes almost 180 degrees. Okay, that is an exercise that we're going to require at the end of the exercise, which is very, very important to realize. And it cannot be achieved if you're just doing this. And I wanted to show you at the very beginning of this last part how I'm elongating my leg. Now, if I am in this position, look how much space I'm creating in between my legs. I can go to the other side and you can tell that there is a lot of space, right? That's the reason why I am urging you to feel how this leg, your dancing leg, needs to be elongated. Now, the reason why I'm asking you to do this, to feel your own body being doing those elongations, is because the gancho, the wrap, is going to happen in your leg. Not the one that you have extended, but the one in your thigh of the leg that you're using your axis with. So in this case, the gancho will happen on my right leg. And then when I do this, it will happen on the left leg. So if you don't bend the leg, if you just do this, the lady is not going to have enough room, and it's going to feel like she's hitting you rather than wrapping her leg. Okay? Now, in the first part, when we are doing the, you know how you have to move your feet. I lead the first back ocho. I walk with her, second back ocho. And here, look, I'm switching my weight from one side to the other, but in this case, I don't want to move my hips. I'm just making sure this is an exercise only. I don't want you to do it when you're finally dancing in a social event. I just want you to do this switch of weight in order to make your dance partner comfortable, and you as well, to learn and practice how to switch your weight without switching completely from one foot to the other. This is like finding a balance spot. After this, your steps are going to be very nice and easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See how, like, by walking, not even thinking about it, the only part that I would like you to think about is that if you trip on the feet of the follower, that's not going to look good. So just, you're not looking at the ground, but you have to feel where her feet are. So when you're walking, make sure that you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you walk with the music and with your feet almost one in front of the other, with that count of 8, you're going to end up once again in the spot that you started. Now, if you decide to do the gancho, which I don't want you to do it without walking at least 12 steps, because we need that leg of the lady very elongated. If you do it right from the after the 8th step, she's not going to probably elongate that leg correctly. That's the reason why I'm adding 4 extra steps. In those 4 extra steps, the lady is like, what I'm forcing is that leg to be completely elongated. Okay? So let's say I have her frozen in front of me in the back ocho. And from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. And then look how I'm here is like the exercise that we did at the very beginning. See how like my butt is moving from here. I bent my knee, I switch my weight, and her leg is going to go almost touching my left leg. And then look at how my legs are doing. When I do this, that's when she's using this space to do her wrap. And then immediately after that, I walk with my right foot, I stop her to do a sandwich, and I keep dancing. Okay, so it's not just doing the steps, although I showed you exactly where everything is going. It is very important to know how I have to do that switch, how I am creating the space in between my legs. It's essential. If women are very protective, so if they feel that they are going to kick you, they are not going to do the gancho. I want you to make them feel like they have all the space in the world to do this exercise. Now, when you're walking forward, I mean walking. And I know that it sounds redundant that somebody is asking you to walk normally. We all think that we're walking normally. But see, in most cases, what I feel with students that feel a little bit uncomfortable doing this is this. They walk like they have to drag their feet, or like they have to go in a, very careful way. I want you to walk like you're walking to get your lunch and you're hungry. Okay, so if I think about that, let's say I'm in the very beginning. I start walking, look at my feet. As I usually do, and as I usually recommend you to do, I'm stepping heel first, metatarso, and then while I'm switching my weight towards the toes, the other heel is disconnecting from the ground. I caress with my toes the ground and I take the next step. By walking with the heel first, I don't mean that you have to walk like in a military walk. This is sending my weight behind me, which is not very good when we dance tango. My weight has to be always in front. And however, see, I drag my toe and only at the last minute, I deposit my heel. My weight on my heel, and I make that step. Now, because I'm walking around the lady, my walk, I'm going to do this in front of the camera so you can see what is happening. See, I'm walking in front of my other foot, but because I have to make a circle, the next step I'm making is like this. And the next is like this. And the next, so forth. Okay? So I cannot walk like this. I have to make it look like I'm drawing a line. In this case, it's a curved line. While I'm doing that, my hips are in the direction that my feet are taking. However, my torso remains connected with the axis of my dance partner. While I'm walking, I have to be taking care of her axis. And for that, I want you to remember or practice with this. See, try to videotape yourself doing this exercise. So yourselves doing the exercise. If you walk and the stick remains vertical, you're doing a good job. If I don't take care of the axis of my dance partner, she is going to imagine that I would be dancing with somebody right now. Her axis cannot go like that. I'm going to try to keep that axis and my own axis very nice and firm. Okay? It's very important for you to understand that part. And finally, I was asking you ladies to start thinking about this wrap, or the calicita and the wrap, lifting your heels. What is happening when the leader is rotating around you? He's moving your upper torso first, but if you don't lift your heels, your feet, look at my feet please, your feet are going to be doing this. See how like I'm going up and down, up and down, up and down. I want you to always, when you're dancing tango, make sure that your heels are very light in weight. You don't want to dance all the time with your heels high, but you don't want, by the other hand, rest your heels all the time. You will rest your heels, but most of the time your weight is forward. Your heels on the ground is very, the pressure of your heels on the ground is very, very light. Most of the weight is always going to go into the metatarsal. Okay? So if you think about that, the moment I'm going to do it from my profile so you can see perfectly my feet, I turn, in this case, my chest is facing the window. That means that it's in an angle of 90 degrees against my hips. So I turn my chest 100 degrees, and then I cannot go any further without lifting my heels. That's when I want you to lift your heels, and then you're going to feel how easy that pivot happens. When you cannot go any longer with the pivot, you will have to switch your weight, in this case, to your right leg, and then keep going. Because I don't have a leader that takes care of my axis, I'm going up and down because I'm creating the energy myself. Usually this is not going to happen when you're dancing. The leader is going to keep you up all the time. The leader is going to keep you balanced all the time so you can have your heel up comfortably. Of course, at first it's going to, like everything else in life, it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I want you to try to develop that ability to, even though your leg is behind you, your heel is high up, disconnected from the ground. Once again, that beautiful disassociation is going to make this calicita look very nice until the end. In the end, you should be able to have this look. And then when the leader switches the direction, to have that very nice position also of doing the wrap. Okay? Now, while I'm doing the wrap, I want you to look at both of my feet. I am in this position. The leader made me arrive completely, and now he's going to turn me. My heel of my standing leg, the leg that I have my axis, it's not going to be on the ground because I need to pivot. Now look at both feet, please. They are pivoting completely before the wrap happens. And the standing leg, the standing foot, never stops pivoting. okay? Up until you arrive to whatever the leader is taking you. In this case, because we're designing it like that, we're after that gancho, I'm asking the leader to immediately do a sandwich. So the way that we're going to do this is from the very beginning in slow motion. We are being left behind in a back ocho. My torso is in front of the camera. And then the leader is going to walk towards my right side. I allow that to happen. I change completely, and here I'm going to drag that foot a while. My left leg is being dragged. I'm going to do that wrap. I'm going to do a back ocho, another back ocho, and sandwich. In the sandwich, I'm going to finish passing over the foot of the leader, 6, 7, and 8. Because we're practicing this exercise, I really recommend you to, even when you don't have to really go around, but even if you remember that 8 count step, 8 count step that the leader is doing around you is going to be very helpful. See, I'm going to try to do it with the music. The music is going bam, 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 bam. So I'm going to keep repeating that timing in my head. Bam, 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 bam. And I can keep doing that, I don't know, 3 times, or the whole, I can try to finish the whole song doing that. If you think about it, it's an exercise that is going to last only 3 minutes, but if you keep doing that repetition during those 3 minutes, it's going to get embedded in your body. Now, I'm going to keep insisting in the way that your feet need to look. You cannot start dancing tango in this position. You know, I'm not wearing fancy shoes or shoes at all. I'm not wearing fancy clothing, but this looks very, you know, this position doesn't look like tango. If you place correctly your feet and you elongate your legs, immediately you're going to look more like a dancer of whatever, not necessarily a tango dancer, but it looks more organized. So I highly encourage you to be aware, even when you're not doing anything, to be aware of how the posture in your body is feeling. And then the moment that you feel a little bit of movement, you know, your body is not going to move like made, this is wrong, like made of a wood. You want to swing your whole body, switching your weight. And when finally the lead starts happening, all your body is going in a harmonious set of movements. Bam, 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 bam. Once again, I have no shoes. I have no fancy clothing, and I'm a guy, but I'm making it look, the movement, very nice. So imagine you with your fancy shoes, your fancy dress, you being a lady, you're going to make it look 100 times better than I am doing now. So once again, feel the movement, make every part count. It's not about the gancho. If you anticipate the movement of the gancho, it is going to feel not only for the leader, but also for the people that are looking at you, that movement is going to feel like an aggressive movement from your part. See, if I do it by myself, I need to lift my whole leg and try to do that. As opposed to when I let the leader be in charge, all I have to do is wrap my leg around his leg, and that's it. Then I let that leg loose completely and swing around that leg, the standing leg. Now, a very common thing that happens when you're dancing and the gancho happens is that even if you're respecting all these parts that I'm trying to make you understand, let's do it again. If this is happening very nicely and you let your leg fly, that is not going to, see, this doesn't look good. I know that sometimes lifting our legs feels like we're doing a better job, that it's kind of looking like Dancing with the Stars. But don't forget, Dancing with the Stars is Dancing with the Stars. Tango, regular social dancing tango, is a little bit different, more intimate. We don't want our legs to fly off. That's the reason why I was asking you earlier that all of us have to have this very intimate relationship with the floor. Caress the floor. If I am going to do that part, I do the gancho, and then I come back to the ground, and I'm going to caress until that leg flies behind me in order to complete that back ocho. All you have to do is that. Bam, bam, bam. You don't want the movement to take you off the ground. Okay? Well, don't forget that we are going to be doing this exercise for the next 2 weeks. So we're going to be adding certain things, but we're always going to repeat from the very beginning, so you get completely informed about what is the feeling of doing calicita, gancho, and sandwich. Most of you already know how to do a sandwich, but we're going to learn completely how to do a calicita and a gancho. Well, that would be all for today. Thank you so very much for watching our lessons. Thank you so very much for your constant support. Tonight, we also have the wonderful voice of Claudia Gargiulio joining us, and the wonderful piano of Valerie Higgs. I highly recommend you to come and have a wonderful time. We're going to learn more about these wonderful musicians, and the wonderful part for me is that they are local. So whenever the musician is local, we feel, not that we don't feel like family with other musicians, but these are so very close that we can have them anytime in the future, and hopefully in the near future. So once again, thank you so very much, and I will see you in just a bit. Thank you.